The Awakening. The chambers were silent. They had been for 500,000 years. Deep beneath what was once called the Himalayan mountains, a vast network of preservation chambers stretched for kilometers. The facility had been humanity's last desperate gambit, a way to survive the cascading environmental and technological catastrophes that had threatened to end Earth's dominant species. In Chamber Alpha 001, a single stasis pod hummed to life. Inside, a woman named Ilara Chen floated in suspension, her body preserved in a state of perfect equilibrium. As preservation systems began the careful process of revival, Ilara's consciousness slowly reassembled itself from the quantum storage, where it had been safely kept while her body slept. Vital signs stabilizing. Neural patterns converging. Revival sequence at 60%, announced Araya, the artificial restoration intelligence assistant that had watched over humanity's slumber for 500,000 years. Ilara's eyelids fluttered, her fingers twitched, and then, after a sleep that had outlasted entire civilizations, she took her first breath of the new world. "Welcome back, Dr. Chen." Araya's voice was gentle, calibrated to ease the psychological shock of awakening. Revival successful. The date is approximately 500 and 2437 AD by the old calendar. Ilara's vision cleared slowly. The chamber looked exactly as she remembered. White walls, medical equipment, the soft blue glow of monitoring systems. It was designed that way, to provide continuity for the first awakened. But beyond these walls, she knew, Earth would be unrecognizable. "Status report," she whispered, her voice rough from disuse. "Earth has recovered from the collapse," Araya reported. "Atmospheric composition has stabilized. Radiation levels are normal. Biodiversity has rebounded, though with significant evolutionary divergence from pre-sleep ecosystems." Ilara nodded weakly. This was expected. The preservation protocol had been designed to give Earth time to heal while humanity slept, guided by custodian AIs and orbital systems that would slowly repair the damage done by centuries of exploitation. The awakening criteria were met approximately 37 years ago. Araya continued. "I began preparation for revival at that time. You are the first, as designated by the protocol." As first awakener, Ilara had been selected for her unique combination of skills, a geneticist with diplomatic training and leadership experience. Her task was to assess the new world and oversee the gradual revival of humanity's sleepers. "Any complications?" she asked, carefully sitting up as medical systems monitored her recovery. Araya paused, a hesitation that immediately caught Ilara's attention. The AI had been programmed for absolute candor. "Yes, Dr. Chen. There is a significant development. We are not alone." Ilara's heart rate spiked. "Explain." Approximately 127,000 years ago, intelligent extraterrestrial life arrived in our solar system. They established observation posts on Mars and Europa, but did not approach Earth due to our defensive systems. Over time, multiple species have visited. Currently, the solar system is considered part of territory claimed by an interstellar coalition called the Galactic Concordat. Ilara stared at the ceiling, processing this information. The possibility of alien contact had been considered in the preservation protocol, but most had assumed it would take centuries after awakening before humanity might encounter extraterrestrial life, if ever. "Do they know we're here?" "Until recently, no. The planetary shield systems have masked human life signs and the underground facilities. However, 3 days ago, as your revival sequence began, a Concordat exploration vessel detected energy fluctuations from our systems. They are currently in orbit, attempting to communicate." Ilara closed her eyes. Of all the challenges she had expected to face upon awakening, first contact with an alien coalition hadn't been at the top of her list. How many species in this Concordat? 23 sapient species form the core membership, with approximately 40 associate member species. Their territory spans approximately 8,000 light years. Their technological level is advanced, though uneven compared to pre-sleep humanity in some areas. They possess faster-than-light travel, but have not developed quantum consciousness storage or our level of biotechnology. Ilara took a deep breath. "Show me." A holographic display activated above her bed, showing an alien vessel in Earth orbit. It was unlike anything from human design. Asymmetrical, with organic-looking protrusions and a central crystalline structure that pulsed with energy. Their primary ship is called Araya made a series of clicks and whistling sounds that Ilara couldn't possibly reproduce, which translates roughly to Seeker of Hidden Truths in English. They have sent 17 communication attempts in various formats. I have decoded their basic language structures, but have not responded as per protocol, awaiting your authorization. Ilara swung her legs over the side of the bed, feeling the weakness in muscles that hadn't been used in 500,000 years. The medical systems had prevented atrophy, but she would need time to regain full strength. "Help me stand, Aria. If I'm going to meet aliens, I don't want to do it lying down." Two robotic assistants moved to her side, supporting her as she stood. Her legs trembled but held. "How long until I can function normally?" "Physical therapy will require approximately 24 hours for basic mobility. Full recovery will take 7 days. However, if you authorize it, I can administer a neuromuscular accelerant that would expedite the process." "Do it," Ilara said, "and begin revival sequences for the emergency contact team." As Aria administered the accelerant, Ilara studied the alien ship on the display. Part of her was filled with scientific curiosity, the dream of every xenobiologist come true. Another part felt the enormous responsibility weighing on her shoulders. The fate of humanity might depend on these first interactions. Aria, prepare a response message. Basic greetings, non-threatening, with simplified information about our situation. Let them know we've been in stasis and are just awakening. Request peaceful communication protocols. Message prepared. Shall I transmit? Ilara hesitated only briefly. Transmit. The neural accelerant was beginning to work, sending tingles through her limbs as feeling returned more rapidly. As she waited for a response from the alien vessel, more stasis pods began their revival sequences. The emergency contact team, a linguist, a xenobiologist, a physicist, and a military strategist, would join her within hours. Response received. Aria announced. Visual and audio communication offered. They are surprised, Dr. Chen. Their records indicated Earth was an evolutionary failure case with no intelligent life remaining. Ilara smiled grimly. Not failed, just sleeping. The holographic display shifted, and for the first time in human history, an alien face appeared before human eyes on Earth. The being had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, scale-like iridescent skin, and a mouth that seemed to spiral inward. Despite its alienness, Ilara could recognize expressions of what seemed like shock and curiosity. Greetings from the Galactic Concordat, came the translated voice, slightly out of sync with the alien's speech movements. I am Exploration Commander Viridian of the Telosian people. We had no record of sentient life on this world. Your emergence is unexpected. Ilara straightened her posture, acutely aware that she was representing all of humanity in this moment. I am Dr. Ilara Chen of Earth, Commander Viridian. Humanity has been in suspended animation for approximately 500,000 years. We are just beginning to awaken. We greet the Concordat in peace and hope for mutual understanding. The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture Ilara couldn't interpret. Suspended animation. For 500,000 years. That is unprecedented. No species in the Concordat has achieved such technology. It was necessary for our survival, Ilara explained. Our civilization faced extinction. We chose to sleep until Earth recovered, guided by our artificial intelligence systems. How many of your kind remain in this sleep? Ilara hesitated, then decided honesty was the best approach. Approximately 1 billion humans are in stasis, scheduled for gradual awakening over the next decade. All four of the aliens' eyes widened simultaneously. 1 billion. This changes everything. The Concordat Council must be informed immediately. A previously unknown ancient species with advanced technology. The alien seemed to collect itself. Dr. Chen, with your permission, I would like to dispatch messengers to the Concordat and request a diplomatic envoy. This discovery is of the highest significance. We welcome diplomatic contact, Commander. However, we are still in the early stages of revival. I would request a period of adjustment before formal negotiations begin. Of course, this is reasonable. May I ask, what are your intentions toward the Concordat and the wider galaxy? It was the question Ilara had been expecting, the one any advanced civilization would ask of a newly discovered species with unknown capabilities and intentions. Our intention is peaceful coexistence and mutual exchange of knowledge and culture, she said firmly. Humanity has evolved during our long sleep. Our consciousness continued in a virtual environment where we experienced countless simulated lives and civilizations. We learned from our mistakes. We are not the same species that nearly destroyed itself 500,000 years ago. The alien made a gesture Ilara couldn't interpret. This is difficult to verify, but encouraging if true. I must report this to my superiors. May we establish an ongoing communication link? Yes, our eye will maintain contact. Commander, I must attend to the awakening of more of my people now, but I look forward to further discussions. As do I, Dr. Chen of Earth. This is a historic day for the galaxy. As the communication ended, Ilara allowed herself to sink back onto the edge of her bed. The implications were overwhelming. Humanity was waking to a galaxy already populated with intelligent life organized into a vast coalition. ARIA, accelerate revival of the diplomatic corps. And give me everything you have on this Concordat. Their history, politics, technology, biology, everything. Yes, Dr. Chen. And shall I continue with the standard awakening protocol for the general population? Ilara considered this. The original plan had been for a careful, measured reintroduction of humans to Earth's ecosystem, with small settlements gradually established on the surface. Modify the protocol. Focus on the underground facilities first. No surface expansion until we better understand our position with the Concordat. And ARI. Yes, Dr. Chen. Activate the archive. We may need access to all of humanity's pre-sleep knowledge sooner than anticipated. In the depths of the facility, enormous quantum storage systems hummed to life, containing the sum total of human knowledge, art, science, and history. The archive had been humanity's insurance policy, a way to ensure that nothing would be lost during the long sleep, even if the worst happened and the revival failed. Over the next 24 hours, more stasis pods activated. By the time the Concordat's first diplomatic shuttle requested permission to land, Ilara stood at the head of a small but growing group of awakened humans, scientists, diplomats, and strategists who had once been the elite of a global civilization and now found themselves representatives of what the aliens were calling an ancient species. The first diplomatic meeting took place in a chamber specifically designed for such a purpose, though its architects could never have imagined the actual participants. Ilara and her team of 5 humans sat across from a diverse delegation of aliens, the scaled Telosian commander Viridian, a gaseous entity contained in a crystalline sphere who was introduced as the Concordat's primary diplomat, and 3 other species so physiologically different from humans that Ilara could barely process their appearances. On behalf of the Galactic Concordat, began the gaseous entity through a translation device. I extend formal greetings to humanity. I am High Diplomat Zephyr of the Aurorans. We have many questions, as you might imagine. As do we, Ilara replied calmly. We slept through the development of interstellar civilization. This is not the awakening we anticipated. Your technology, said a being with multiple tendrils and bioluminescent patches, particularly your stasis systems and this consciousness simulation you've described. They far exceed anything in the Concordat. Some members of our coalition will find this concerning. We understand, said Ilara. Throughout history, technological disparity has often led to fear and conflict. We have no desire for either. We wish only to rejoin the community of intelligent life, a community that has clearly grown much larger in our absence. Noble words, rumbled a massive silicon-based being. Yet words that many species have spoken before actions proved otherwise. Ilara nodded, accepting the challenge in the statement. You have no reason to trust us yet. We are strangers who have suddenly appeared with advanced technology and ancient origins. If our positions were reversed, we would be equally cautious. Perhaps, said Zephyr, we might begin with cultural exchange, learning about each other before addressing more complex issues of integration into the wider galactic community. We would welcome that, Ilara said sincerely. As the meeting continued, humans and aliens carefully navigated the beginnings of what would become one of the most significant relationships in galactic history. Neither side could yet guess how dramatically humanity's awakening would reshape the cosmic order, or how much both humans and aliens would change through their encounter. Deep in the hibernation chambers, more stasis pods hummed to life. Humanity was awakening, not to the empty Earth they had expected, but to a galaxy full of life, challenge, and possibility. The long sleep was over. The true journey was just beginning. The revelation. 3 months after humanity's awakening, the Concordat assembly station loomed before the human diplomatic vessel. The massive structure orbited a neutral star at the heart of Concordat space, a spinning wheel of impossible scale with enormous spokes extending from a central hub. Each section housed environments suited to different member species, a physical manifestation of the coalition's commitment to diversity. Ilara Chen stood at the viewport, taking in the sight. Behind her, 20 carefully selected humans prepared for the most consequential diplomatic mission in human history. In the months since first contact, over 50,000 humans had been awakened, most remaining in the underground facilities as humanity carefully assessed its new reality. It's incredible, said Marcus Okafor, her chief diplomatic advisor. Our ancestors dreamed of something like this, a true galactic community. One that's deeply unsettled by our arrival, Ilara reminded him. Araya's analysis of Concordat communications indicates at least 7 species are actively advocating for restrictions on our awakening. Can you blame them? Marcus replied. We're an unknown variable with technology that outstrips theirs in several crucial areas. We appeared without warning after 500,000 years of hibernation. To them, we must seem like ghosts from the distant past, or worse, potential conquerors playing a very long game. The human vessel slowed as it approached its designated docking port. Unlike the organic aesthetics favored by many Concordat species, the human ship was sleek and geometric, constructed using principles of design that predated the Concordat itself. The contrast was not lost on the watching aliens. Approach vector confirmed, announced the pilot. We're receiving final docking instructions now. Ilara turned to face her team. They were humanity's best and brightest, scientists, diplomats, historians, and one military strategist, included as a concession to those humans who feared the worst from this new galactic order. All had been specifically chosen from those whose consciousness simulations during the long sleep had fostered exceptional empathy, ethical reasoning, and cross-cultural understanding. Remember, she told them, we're not just representing the billion humans still sleeping. We're representing every human who ever lived before the hibernation. We carry their legacy, their hopes, and the lessons learned from their mistakes. We need the Concordat as much as they may eventually need us. The docking procedure completed with a gentle shudder through the ship. Outside the airlock, a delegation of Concordat representatives waited to escort them to the assembly chamber, where representatives of 23 sapient species would formally receive humanity's petition for recognition. Well, said Ilara with a small smile, Let's make a good first impression. The reception corridor was a marvel of Sen architecture, designed to be navigable and somewhat comfortable for all member species. Gravity plates in the floor could be adjusted section by section. Atmospheric composition shifted subtly throughout the space, and temperature zones blended into one another with remarkable elegance. Their escort was a diverse group. The now familiar Telosian commander Viridian, who had become something of an expert on humans, a hovering Auroran diplomat named Zephyr, a massive silicon-based Lithorian, and 2 other species the humans had not yet encountered. "Welcome to Concordat Assembly Station," said Zephyr, their gaseous forms swirling gracefully within their containment sphere. "The full council awaits you." "We're honored by this reception," Ilara responded. "The Concordat's accomplishments in creating this station alone are remarkable. A necessity when member species breathe different atmospheres and evolved on worlds with gravity ranging from 0.3 to 2.7 of your Earth standard," rumbled the Lithorian. As they proceeded toward the assembly chamber, Ilara noticed the many Concordat citizens lining the corridors, watching the human delegation with expressions ranging from curiosity to what she interpreted as concern or even fear. News of humanity's awakening had spread throughout Concordat space, growing with each retelling until some accounts portrayed humans as godlike ancients rather than fellow sentients. "Your arrival has caused quite a stir," Commander Viridian noted, following her gaze. "Many of our people find it difficult to comprehend a species that chose to remove itself from history for 500,000 years. The concept is unsettling." "We understand," Ilara said. "It was not a decision made lightly by our ancestors, but it was necessary for our survival." "And yet," said one of the unfamiliar aliens, a being with multiple eyes arranged around what might be called a head, "it speaks to an incredible level of technological achievement and social coordination. Few civilizations could conceive of such a project, let alone execute it successfully." The assembly chamber doors loomed before them, 40 meters high to accommodate even the largest member species. As they slid open, Ilara steeled herself for what she knew would be an overwhelming experience. The chamber beyond was vast, a hemisphere 500 meters in diameter. Representatives of the 23 core Concordat species occupied tiered sections arranged according to environmental needs. Some floated in anti-gravity fields, others stood on platforms, and a few existed as holographic projections because their physical forms could not survive in shared space. At the center of the chamber stood a raised platform where the human delegation would present their case. Above it hovered the Concordat Council, 7 representatives chosen from among the founding species of the coalition. As Ilara and her team took their positions, a hush fell over the chamber. Thousands of alien eyes, sensory organs, and perceptual apparatuses focused on the humans. The lead counselor, a being of living crystal named Ethraxis, activated the ceremonial opening of the session. "We gather today to receive the representatives of humanity, an ancient species emerged from hibernation on the world they call Earth. This assembly will hear their petition for recognition and determine the terms of humanity's relationship with the Galactic Concordat." Ilara stepped forward. The universal translators embedded throughout the chamber would convey her words to each species in their native language or sensory equivalent. "Honored counselors, distinguished representatives of the Concordat," she began, "I am Dr. Ilara Chen, designated speaker for awakened humanity. We come before you not as conquerors or competitors, but as fellow travelers on the cosmic journey of intelligence." She continued, outlining humanity's history, their rise, their near self-destruction, and their unprecedented solution of species-wide hibernation. She explained the consciousness simulation that had allowed human minds to continue evolving while their bodies slept, and their hopes for peaceful integration into the galactic community. As she spoke, she could sense the reactions rippling through the assembly: skepticism, wonder, curiosity, and fear all mingling in the vast chamber. When she finished, Council Leader Ethraxis addressed her. "Your account is compelling, Dr. Chen. However, many among us find aspects of your narrative concerning. Your technology, particularly in the realms of consciousness transfer, neural simulation, and temporal suspension, exceeds current concordat capabilities by significant margins. This creates an imbalance that some find threatening. Before Ilara could respond, another counselor, a massive being named Krex of the warrior Valkyran species, interjected. "Let us speak plainly," Krex rumbled. "Humanity claims to have evolved beyond its warlike tendencies, yet you maintained orbital defense systems throughout your hibernation. You developed technologies that could potentially be weaponized. And now you wish us to permit the awakening of 1 billion humans with these advanced capabilities." Murmurs of agreement echoed from several sections of the chamber. Ilara remained calm. This confrontation had been anticipated and prepared for. Counselor Krex, the orbital systems were defensive only, designed to protect sleeping humans who could not protect themselves. As for our technology, yes, much of it could be weaponized, as can most advanced technology. The question is not capability, but intent. Intent is intangible and can change, Krex countered. Capability is concrete. Zephyr, the Auroran diplomat, intervened. Perhaps we might address specific concerns. The Valkyran perspective is valid, but must be balanced against the potential benefits of human integration. Their medical technology alone could advance concordat healthcare by centuries. Which brings us to another concern, said a holographic representative from the collective consciousness species known as the Mycelium Network. Humans propose to share some technologies but withhold others. This selective sharing creates justified suspicion. The debate continued for hours, with various factions within the concordat expressing alternating hope and fear regarding humanity's awakening. Throughout, Ilara and her team responded with patience and transparency, understanding that trust would not be built in a single session. Finally, Council Leader Ithraxis raised a crystalline appendage for silence. It has become clear that this matter requires further consideration. The Council will deliberate while our guests are shown to their accommodations. We will reconvene in one planetary rotation. As the human delegation was escorted from the chamber, Ilara sensed that opinions within the Concordat were sharply divided. Their reception had been neither the warm welcome they'd hoped for nor the outright rejection they'd feared. "They're afraid," Marcus observed quietly as they walked, "and fear rarely leads to wise decisions." "Then we must give them reasons not to fear us," Ilara replied. Their accommodations were luxurious by any standard. A section of the station hastily but effectively converted to approximate Earth conditions. As the delegation settled in, Ilara received an unexpected communication request from Commander Viridian. "Dr. Chen," the Telosian said when the connection was established, "I speak unofficially. You should know that the Valkyran delegation has formally proposed restricting human awakening to no more than 10,000 individuals and placing all human technology under Concordat oversight." Ilara felt a chill. "That would effectively make us prisoners." "Yes. And while the proposal is unlikely to pass in its current form, a compromise version might gain sufficient support. The fear runs deep in some quarters. What would you advise, Commander?" Viridian's scales shifted color slightly, what Ilara had come to recognize as an expression of thoughtfulness. The Concordat values contribution above all. Those species that provide unique benefits to the collective are granted the greatest autonomy. If humanity could demonstrate concrete value. "Thank you, Commander. Your insight is appreciated." After the communication ended, Ilara called her team together. "We need a demonstration," she told them. "Something that proves humanity's value to the Concordat beyond doubt." "Our medical technology," suggested Dr. Lakshmi Patel, their chief scientist. "We could offer treatments for conditions the Concordat considers incurable." "Too slow," Marcus countered. "We need something immediate and dramatic." They debated options late into the night, aware that the future of humanity might depend on their decision. Eventually, they settled on a plan. Ambitious, risky, but potentially game-changing. The next morning, as the council reconvened, An urgent alert interrupted the proceedings. A massive energy surge had been detected near the system's outer boundary, a quantum fluctuation unlike anything in Concordat records. "We are receiving reports of a spatial anomaly," Council Leader Ithraxis announced. "Security protocols are being initiated." The chamber erupted in confusion as sensor data streamed onto display fields. The anomaly was expanding, threatening to engulf a Concordat research outpost on the system's edge. Council Leader Ilara called out, stepping forward. "Humanity can help. This appears to be a quantum instability similar to phenomena our scientists studied before hibernation. With your permission, we can attempt to stabilize it." Krex, the Valkyrian counselor, bristled visibly. "Convenient that you claim expertise in precisely the crisis that has just arisen." "Suspicion is natural," Ilara acknowledged, "but thousands of lives are at risk. Let us prove our intentions through actions." After a tense debate, with the anomaly growing by the minute, the council reluctantly agreed. Ilara's team quickly established a link to the human vessel, where specialists were already analyzing the phenomenon. "It's a Class 5 quantum fracture," Dr. Paddle reported. "Our quantum stabilizers could contain it, but we'll need to get closer." "Permission to approach the anomaly is granted," Ithraxis announced, though Ilara could sense the reluctance in the decision. The assembly watched in tense silence as the human vessel approached the expanding distortion. What they couldn't know, what Ilara and her team had recognized immediately, was that the anomaly was actually a side effect of Concordat experimental technology. One of their research teams had been attempting to replicate aspects of human quantum systems based on the limited data they'd gathered, with catastrophic results. The human ship positioned itself at the fracture's edge and deployed a series of devices that began emitting precisely calibrated energy fields. Gradually, the wild quantum fluctuations began to stabilize. "Remarkable," murmured Zephyr, floating beside Ilara in the chamber. "Your people understood the nature of the anomaly almost instantly." "Knowledge preserved from before our sleep," Ilara explained. "Quantum mechanics was a well-developed field 500,000 years ago for humanity. After 3 tense hours, the crisis was resolved. The fracture collapsed in on itself and dissipated, leaving the research outpost and its personnel safe. The human vessel returned to the station, its crew weary but successful. When the council reconvened, the atmosphere had shifted perceptibly. Humanity has demonstrated both advanced capability and benevolent intent," Ithraxis acknowledged. "This service to the Concordat will not be forgotten." Krex, however, remained unconvinced. "One good deed does not erase legitimate security concerns. I move that we still implement restrictions on human awakening and technology, perhaps not as severe as initially proposed, but prudent limitations nonetheless." What followed was another debate, but now several species that had been neutral or skeptical spoke in humanity's favor. The tide was turning, but slowly. Finally, Ilara requested permission to present new information. When granted, she activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. "Honored Council, respected representatives, what you are seeing is data from our long-range sensors during hibernation. Over the past 500,000 years, our systems detected 17 distinct extragalactic signals that match no known natural phenomenon." The chamber fell silent. "We believe these are evidence of intelligent life beyond our galaxy, possibly a civilization or civilizations far more advanced than either humanity or the Concordat." The implications were clear and immediate. The petty concerns of relative advantage between humanity and the Concordat paled in comparison to the possibility of truly advanced extragalactic intelligences. "Our analysis suggests these signals have been increasing in frequency and complexity," Ilara continued. "The most recent was detected just 370 years ago. Whatever is out there, it may be getting closer." Council Leader Ithraxis' crystalline form refracted light in patterns that indicated deep concern. "You withhold this information until now. We needed to understand the Concordat first," Ilara explained, "to determine if you were ready for this knowledge. Humanity has had 500,000 years to prepare for the possibility of truly advanced alien contact. You have had mere months to adjust to our existence. The revelation transformed the discussion. Suddenly, humanity's advanced technology was not just a potential threat, but a possible salvation. The perspective shifted from competition to cooperation against a greater unknown. After hours of intensive discussion, the Council reached a decision. Humanity would be granted provisional member status within the Concordat. The awakening would proceed under joint human Concordat oversight, but without arbitrary limitations. A commission would be established to facilitate the safe sharing of technology. And most significantly, the Joint Research Initiative would be launched to study the extragalactic signals and prepare for possible future contact. As the session concluded, Ilara felt the weight of 500,000 years of human history on her shoulders. Their ancestors had put their faith in the future, believing humanity could evolve beyond its self-destructive tendencies. Now they had a chance to prove that faith was not misplaced. A new beginning, Marcus said quietly beside her. For all of us, Ilara agreed. Outside the station viewport, the stars shone with the same light they had 500,000 years ago, when humanity chose to step back from history. But now, humanity would move forward again, not alone, but as part of something greater than themselves. In the hibernation chambers on Earth, more stasis pods hummed to life. Humanity was awakening to a universe more complex, more challenging, and more wondrous than they could have imagined. And somewhere beyond the galaxy's edge, other intelligences might be watching, waiting for the day when they too would make contact with the strange coalition of species emerging in this corner of the cosmos. The long silence was over. Humanity's voice would be heard among the stars once more.